So we seem to be getting little bits of news about Ghost of Tsushima 2. It's definitely coming. We don't know how soon, but we know they're going to be working on it. And I thought it'd be good to give it one of my PS5 pitch room approaches. So here we go. We find Jin 6 years on from the original game, with Tsushima completely restored from the Mongol attack, but regardless of what ending you got in the first game, one thing is clear: Clan Shimura is not in control. Instead, we find a new clan appointed by the Shogun in control of the island. While the Mongols have been defeated for the time being, fears of them returning means that security around the shoreline and the Shogun has been greatly increased. Jin is very much a ghost at this point, hunted but hidden. His presence can still be found around the island. He's chosen to stay in the shadows because he doesn't want to bring any more dishonor or war to the island itself. However, he's still dealing with small groups of Mongols who may have survived, bandits, and other problems around the island. The game opens with a boat pulling into the bay in the late hours of the evening. As it approaches, we see a familiar face. Kenji steps off the boat where he's ambushed by a large group of bandits. "What's in the boat, Kenji?" I'm doing voices this time. "Ah, Minato, just some late night fishing. Fishing for the money you owe me. Search the boat." The bandits board the boat, pulling out barrels of booze and 3 people who were stowed away: a young woman, an old man, and a small boy. Minato's men keep blades held up against them. "Always getting other people in trouble, aren't you, Kenji?" "Let them go." "Ghost, we're not scared of you. Riku, quickly, tell the guards we found Tsushima's most wanted criminal." One of Minato's men runs towards a horse to escape, but Jin throws a kunai at him, catching him in the leg. "Get him!" Jin makes quick work of the men. "Kill the hostages!" The male hostage swiftly disarms the bandits holding a blade against him. Jin and Kenji both look confused and impressed, while Minato runs off. Just then the samurai can be heard charging towards them. "Kenji, the boat. Help me get it back in the water." They manage to push the boat far enough out into the water that Jin and the others actually escape. "So you're smuggling people now, Kenji?" "No, it's not like that. They needed my help." "Help? How?" "They wanted safe passage to Tsushima." "Why?" "China has fallen to the Mongols." "China? You went that far for booze?" "No, I was headed to Korea but came across their boat as it was close to sinking." "And you can understand them?" "The old man speaks in our tongue but not very well. He says they are ready in boats and many men." "So they're finally returning." Jin takes the 3 people to Lady Masako, who's opened up her estate to be an orphanage for children who lost their parents in the first Mongol attack on the island, to ensure they'd be safe and hidden away from anyone that might want to cause them trouble. Intrigued by how the male, known as Boyan, was able to disarm the bandits with no weapon, he conveys that he'd like to come back from time to time and talk to him. Now, I don't know if you've seen Netflix's Marco Polo, but there's a character in it called 100 Eyes, and he's basically a Taoist monk who was taken from China and made part of the Khan's army to train up his men, and I kind of wanted to have this character similar to him, but I thought this would be a very good way to introduce some new stances and weapons into the game. I'll talk about the weapons a little bit later. We then find Jin speaking to Lady Masako. "The Mongols would have to be mad to try and attack us for a second time. They have every reason to seek revenge on me and this island for what happened. So, what are you going to do?" "I need to tell Oda to warn and prepare the people." "And what makes you think Oda won't kill you on the spot? You're the reason his clan have control." "He'll have to see sense. The enemy of my enemy is an ally." "You should tell the others too. You have many allies on this island, Jin. Don't face Oda alone." That's the end of the prologue right there. We move into Act 1. You spend most of the first act revisiting old friends such as Norio and Ishikawa, helping them with some basic missions, driving out bandits, generally just getting to see the island a little bit again. You've got remaining members of the Straw Hats that now work for Oda. They've been recruited to sort of keep on the lookout for the ghost. But if you're wondering about where Uncle is, depending on your ending, he's either retired to the mainland or he's just gone because, you spoilers, but you killed him. One of the missions from Norio is him seeing how well you're training with the Naginata has come along. That's the big sort of staff knife that he carries. I think it's a really cool weapon and I'd love to give that to Jin. I think it would be a cool way to combat some of those speared attacks and things, and it really changes up his weapon set, so I thought I'd add that in. Once you've rallied the allies together, you head to Castle Shimura. Here's where you sneak into Oda's quarters and you confront him. Villain voice time now. 6 years you have hidden from us. Have you finally come to accept your fate? For 6 years I have avoided killing your men and keeping peace on this island for my people's sake. Yes, avoided like the dishonorable coward you are. A true samurai does not hide. So tell me, Sakai, why show your face now? The Mongols are preparing an attack. If the Mongols attack, they will fail. I have made Tsushima far stronger than it ever was under your uncle. If you are so strong, then why don't you face me now? Show your men how easily it is to cut down any Mongol who stands in your way. Start by killing the ghost and your fame will be legendary. I guess you're going to die anyway. It may as well be by my hand. You get into a fight, which is fairly even, you know, he's a tough guy to fight, but Jin ultimately wins, and here he chooses to spare Oda's life. I did not say this was a fight to the death. You must kill me, for my honor's sake. This island has seen enough bloodshed. Friends and families torn apart all because of the Mongols. I do not want to kill you, Oda. I have enough blood on my hands. I just want you to listen. The Mongols are coming and you must protect this island and its people. When you are ready to talk, meet me at Komoda Bay when the moon is up. Start of Act 2. We find Jin and Oda speaking by the shoreline under a moonlit sky. You know, you can't expect to lead my army. I wouldn't expect to, but I can help. Yes, you can, but not from here. What do you mean? Iki has been under Mongol control since the first invasion. We have done our best to drive them out for years, but under the sons of Kublai, we are losing. I want you to go there. Why? Isn't that obvious? The ghost finds victory where men do not. Plus, if they send their boats from there, we'll be surrounded. Very well. It's here we travel to Iki and take back control while ultimately being hunted down by the Khan's men and his son, who's enraged at you for killing Koto Khan. We also meet Tomo, who didn't make it to the mainland but instead stopped here to fight against the Mongols and has been living there ever since. After saving X amount of villages, making new allies, you come face to face with the son of Kublai. You have a showdown, of course. You win, yet again another tough fight, but the victory is short-lived as you realize that Iki was only a stepping stone to launch an attack on the mainland, with many boats already having set sail under the command of Kublai's second son. So there's two sons, that's why it's the sons of Kublai, okay? Now Iki isn't as big an island as Tsushima, but it's big enough that there will be enough to do to really flesh out Act 2, especially with meeting new allies and stuff along the way. In Act 3, we send for reinforcements from Tsushima, we get Oda and his clan behind us, we get the Ghost Army, we get Norio, everyone back involved for one final push to save the mainland. They arrive in boats, we then take over the shipyard that was in Iki. But the plan here is to take over Mongol boats because we aim to insert ourselves into the attacking fleet. We want to sort of like, you know, wolf in sheep's clothing ourselves into the attacking fleet and attack them before they can attack the mainland. However, because the attack was already launched on the mainland, by the time we arrive to the battlefield, we really are this massive destructive force. I just want in the third act to be all out warfare, you know? I want to be fighting on the boats in the water. I want to be pushing up onto the shore and just taking these Mongols out from behind. Really have this impact of people being like, what is this extra army we didn't even know we had involved, you know? And it's just hacking and slashing everywhere, and we're using all of the new techniques that we've learned throughout the game just to be this destructive force and unite and restore that sort of level of honor to Sakai's name, you know? Depending on how you tackled the ending of the first game, your uncle will be seen fighting on the shoreline as well. But if not, you know, he's dead, as we've said, so he's not there. But that's a cool little feature you get to see thrown in there as well. You're fighting left, right, and center. You come down to a big 1v1 fight with Kublai's second son. You were heavily injured in the fight, but you managed to come out victorious where you pass out. Mum, come here. This looks expensive. Help me with it. Let me see. The woman walks over to this body and she turns pale as if she's seen a ghost. You can't see it right now, but I'm doing one of them winks, you know what I mean? Like, eh? Jin opens his eyes as he finds his bearing. Jin! Yuna? He passes back out. We find him fully recovered in her house where they're sharing stories over a couple drinks. She's telling him about how she found this young girl and raised her like her own because the young girl tried to steal from her, and they talk about the old times. I am happy. You look at peace. I am. And what will you do now? He looks at her and smiles. And we fade to black. Now, some of you are going to say this is quite an ambiguous ending, but I like it like that. Is he going to go into mainland Japan? Is he going to go back to Tsushima? Who knows? We've left it nice and open. He's done pretty much what he needs to do. He's managed to take down the Mongol army for a second time. Now, a few things that I think are really important to note. In 1279, the Mongols take over southern China. That's 1 year ahead of when the game is actually set. We play through about a year, moving us into 1281, which is when the second attack from Mongols happened against Japan. So that's the timeline for it. One of the new weapons that you actually do pick up is called Tekko Kagi. It's pretty much like Wolverine claws. You may have seen them used before. I'm pretty sure if you played Ninja Gaiden, you know about them. But I thought this would be a cool weapon for him to get from Boyan as you do missions with him, learning stances and fighting styles. And the other one, as I mentioned, was the Naginata, which is Norio's weapon, and also the rope dart, which works as a range weapon, but you never lose it. I think it's a really cool weapon, and I've thrown all of these shots so you know exactly what I'm talking about on screen as I'm saying this, but I think these would be some really cool weapons. Other than that, I didn't want to include Yuna as a main part of the story. I wanted her to be a nice sort of ending. I wanted her to have her piece at the end of it all. And I also wanted to have it so Oda's character was a little bit more accepting. Yes, he'd been sent to the island to hunt down Jin, but at the same time, when there's a bigger threat, you've got to put sort of your morals aside. And also with him using Jin to his own advantage, it kind of means that he didn't have to kill him until he got use from him, which is why I've left the ending so ambiguously, because it's like, who knows, if Jin returns, he may still get killed, but at this point in time, the world is his oyster and he's got a lot of places to go. I'm not 100% sure if they're going to go with any sort of takes like this, but I think it would be a very good way to put all of the story together. Moving over to Iki is a very nice way of getting some similar scenery, but also changing it up a lot. And also, revisiting Tsushima is just an easy thing to do, because you know what, they've already got that island figured out, but it would be nice to see it a lot further down the timeline, and that's why I've left 6 years in between. Not just so it lines up in history, but also because I want the island to be fairly restored and built up. That's my thoughts and feelings on it. If there's another way you'd like to take this story, I tried my best to keep it close to the history, so it's not sort of disrespectful, but if there's a way that you'd like to do this, please do leave it in the comments. I really enjoy doing these PS5 pitch rooms. We know Ghost of Tsushima 2 is coming, so it'll be interesting to see how they approach the story. But other than that, if there's another game you'd like to see me tackle, then go ahead and leave it in the comments. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourselves, look out for each other, and as always, if you like this, like, share, subscribe, and if you really like it, put it on Reddit so they can slate it completely, but it all helps out. Thank you. Thank you very much.